what we need to do, which is improve, this path for people with dizziness who are suffering, which really gets me down. So we'll make a difference. I'm gonna make it better.
You said it was dizzy.care?
Yeah. So we're launching locally, which is locally to us, right? Philadelphia area first, so that when we go to do what we'll call a national launch.
What you consider and how you define vertigo and dizziness, just so that we understand maybe another perspective. What you consider and how you define vertigo and dizziness, just so that we understand maybe another perspective of yours. If I say dizzy or if I say vertigo, what does that mean to you? And how important is it for me to get that right?
Say vertigo is a sensation of movement of themselves or the room, where things are kind of shifting or spinning or some kind of characterization like that. And the Veronese Society, which is a really fantastic organization of clinicians and researchers in the vestibular realm, always putting out the latest research, wonderful group. They have defined vertigo in this way as kind of sensation of movement of self or the environment. I think what's challenging about vertigo is that often patients will go to, say, the emergency room because they feel that they're having significant dizziness or vertigo. And then they will leave the emergency room and their diagnosis is vertigo. They are like, all right, you have to go to outpatient. And so that's why you might leave with that diagnosis. In the same way, when we think about dizziness, this is kind of a sense of off feeling is the one that I feel like resonates with most of my patients, right? So they're like not lightheaded. Dizziness is kind of more wavy off, as opposed to vertigo, which is again, kind of more this kind of true room's spinning or I'm moving and things are kind of a little more dramatic. Vertigo is like usually considered stronger, although someone can feel quite dizzy. I think, again, this is where the language fails us. First language is not English. And that's even more interesting because they're like, no, it just feels like I'm on a ship. So they have their kind of their own perceptions based on their own life experience.
I don't envy the practitioner in this side, because when I'm trying to describe it and I use what I know and I use what I've learned, and it's really interesting to know that questionnaires exist, because that might actually be a helpful guide for people to know what words and how to sort of describe it. The vertigo component, where you guys mentioned, like vestibular therapists mentioned that there's a movement sensation, like that actual movement sensation. And I always thought it was rotational only for vertigo. But it's not necessarily. It could just be this something else moving, but moving. Whereas the dizziness is a bit. It sounds a bit more generic.
And I think something else about it is what they've learned through research is that I'm happy to listen to a patient's description of what they feel because that's their experience. It may not guide my diagnosis that much because it can be perceived so differently. The same condition can be perceived as different sensation. And I offer to any patient to try to include this information when you're speaking, to say timing and triggers. So timing is, do I feel dizzy all the time? And that includes sitting still, lying down, not just when you're standing and walking. Are you really truly constantly dizzy versus feel dizzy like a day and then it'll resolve itself? Or do I feel dizzy briefly when I turn over a bed and whoa, the room's spinning? And then if I lay still, within under a minute, it settles out. And so knowing that timing is actually really important because they found that conditions that are kind of falling under certain buckets of diagnosis tend to have particular types of timing. So I'm very interested in timing. And then I kind of alluded to triggers already, something like turning over in bed. So I turn over in bed, I feel it. And then if I kind of lay still, it settles out. And then if I bend over to put on my sock, I felt it again. So this is what we'll call positionally provoked symptoms. And then what symptoms come with it is the third thing. So it's timing, triggers, and accompanying symptoms. So not only did I get dizzy, and it was like that for 4 or 6 hours, but I had ringing in my ears that whole time. And then as the dizziness resolved, the ringing in the ears resolved. The idea is that those pieces of information for me start to sound like categories of like, oh, that sounds like Meniere's disease. That sounds like vestibular migraine. And some of our conditions that are fairly common don't even have like one test that tells you, yep, they have vestibular migraine. It's literally still a set of what we call diagnostic criteria. What we need to do, which is improve, this path for people with dizziness who are suffering, which really gets me down. So we'll make a difference. I won't make it better. Yeah.
We love it. From the patient side, go for it. We're always supportive.
Thank you.
All right. Well, that's cool. I can't wait. You said it was dizzy.care?
Yeah. So we're launching locally, which is locally to us, right? Philadelphia area first. We're calling it a soft launch because, you just want to kind of start in a region that we know well. We know the clinicians in this area. So as it starts to actually kind of do the matching process, we'll get feedback, of course, from patients and from the clinicians. What went well? What can we improve? So that when we go to do what we'll call a national launch, we'll continue to tweak and improve because that's so important.
Well, wherever this video goes, I'll make sure to post a link So people can go and start signing up and
Perfect. Sign up for
adding.
Dizzy.care. I like it. Yeah,
Yeah, dizzy.care. So thank you for that. I'm definitely going to sign up today. So if you see it, there it is.